Hello, friends, and welcome back to another exciting video. If you've been following along, you've already learned how to create amazing websites with Django in our previous videos. Today, we're taking things up a notch by diving into the dynamic world of JavaScript. We'll explore jQuery, a powerful JavaScript library that makes it super easy to manipulate web elements, whether it's changing colors on a mouse click, resizing images, or adding some cool interactive effects to your site. So, get ready to unleash the magic of jQuery and transform your Django projects like never before. Let's get started. First, let's explore the project structure. We have a Django project named Django Web. Inside the project's root directory, there's an app called MyWeb. This app contains a directory named static, which is used to store static assets such as images, style sheets, and JavaScript files. In a Django project, the static directory is essential because it holds all the static files that the website will serve, such as CSS for styling and JavaScript for adding interactivity. To add JavaScript functionality to our website, we'll need to create a new JavaScript file in the static directory of our app, myweb/static. You can name this file anything you like, but it must have the .js extension to be recognized as a JavaScript file. In this example, we'll create a file named dynamic.js. First, we'll learn how to add interactivity to navigation bar using JavaScript. Specifically, we'll change the background color of the navigation bar when the user hovers over it and revert it to its original color when the cursor moves away. This will enhance the user experience by making the navigation bar more dynamic and visually engaging. In our Django app, we have a directory named templates that contains all the HTML files for our project. One of these files is navbar.html, which includes the code for our navigation bar. In this file, we have assigned the class navbar to our navigation bar, and we will target this class using JavaScript to change its background color dynamically when a user hovers over it. To manipulate the navigation bar's background color dynamically, we will write our first JavaScript code in the dynamic.js file. We'll use the $document.ready function to ensure that the website is fully loaded in the browser before executing any code. This approach prevents errors that might occur when trying to interact with elements that aren't yet available in the DOM. In the document.ready block, we will add JavaScript code to manipulate our navigation bar using jQuery. We will target the .navbar class and bind a mouse click event to it. This event will be triggered when anyone clicks on the navigation bar. As a simple check to ensure our JavaScript code is working correctly, we will display an alert message whenever the navigation bar is clicked. To use jQuery in your project and manipulate HTML elements dynamically, you need to include the live version of jQuery in your index.html file, which serves as the home page of your website. Go to google.com and search for jQuery online version. Click on the first search result, which usually directs you to the official jQuery website or a reliable CDN provider. On the jQuery website, find the latest minified version of jQuery. The minified version is a smaller file optimized for performance and is recommended for production use. Copy the script tag provided. Open your index.html file and paste the jQuery script tag inside the header section. This step allows you to use jQuery across your web page. After adding the live version of jQuery to your index.html file, the next step is to include your custom JavaScript file, dynamic.js. This file contains the code needed to manipulate HTML elements, such as changing the background color of the navigation bar. To do this, we'll use a script tag, specifying the path to the dynamic.js file located in your static directory. After successfully adding your dynamic.js file to the homepage, the next step is to start the Django development server to view the effects of your JavaScript code in action. Here's how to do it using Visual Studio Code. In Visual Studio Code, click on the View menu at the top of the screen. Select Terminal from the drop-down menu. This will open a terminal window at the bottom of your Visual Studio Code workspace. The terminal will display a path, usually pointing to your current working directory, which is often the root of your project. Use the cd command to navigate into your Django project directory. My project directory is Django Web. So I will write the cd with my project directory to enter the project directory. After entering the project directory, write python manage.py run server to start the development server. If everything is set up correctly, you'll see output in the terminal indicating that the server has started successfully. There you can start your server by using two ways. First, copy the URL showing in terminal and paste it in your browser window. Or you can press Ctrl key on your keyboard and click on the URL to open the development server directly in your browser. With the Django development server running, we can now view the output of our project and make changes in real time. Let's test the JavaScript code we've written by interacting with the navigation bar to ensure everything is functioning as expected. Let's click on the navigation bar to trigger the JavaScript code we have added earlier. You should see an alert box appear with your custom message, confirming that your JavaScript code is working correctly. This alert indicates that the click event is successfully bound to the navigation bar. Now that the click event is functioning properly, let's enhance the interactivity by adding code to change the navigation bar's background color when the mouse hovers over it. We will use jQuery's mouse over method to achieve this effect. To add interactivity to your navigation bar, we will modify our JavaScript code by adding a line inside the mouse over function. $this.css background color, red. This will change the background color of the navigation bar to red. The $this keyword refers to the navbar class and allows us to apply changes directly to the navigation bar element. You can see, when we bring the mouse on the navigation bar, its color changes to red. But when the mouse is away from the navigation bar, the color of the navigation bar is not reverting to its original color. We will add another event listener, mouseout, to revert the navigation bar's color back to its original state when the mouse moves away. This event ensures that the color change is temporary and resets correctly. After the end of the mouseover function block, we will add another mouseout method to change the color back to its original color. Copy and paste the same code from the mouseover function, and change the color to any color you want to change after mouse away from navigation bar. With the updated JavaScript code, you can observe the interactive behavior of the navigation bar. When the mouse cursor is brought over the navigation bar, its color changes to red, demonstrating the effect of the mouseover event. When the cursor is moved away, the color reverts to the original color set in the mouseout function. The code effectively demonstrates the use of mouse events to create dynamic and responsive UI interactions. After setting up the interactive navigation bar with color changes, we will now focus on adding an image slider to the Hero section of our website. The Hero section contains a large image that covers the entire screen, providing a visually engaging entry point for your website. An image slider allows us to automatically change the hero image at regular intervals, enhancing the visual appeal and providing a dynamic user experience. This is particularly useful for showcasing multiple images without overwhelming the user with static content. In the dynamic.js file, right after the code that manipulates the navigation bar color, we will add the code to create the image slider for the hero section. First, we define an index variable initialized to 0. This variable is crucial as it tracks the current image being displayed in the slider. If you're familiar with programming concepts, you know that variables act as containers used to store values that can be accessed and manipulated throughout the program. Next, we have the images array, which contains the paths to the images you want to display in the slider. An array is a type of variable that can hold multiple values, making it ideal for storing a list of related items, such as image URLs in this case. Currently we have 3 images: hero.jpg, hero2.jpg and running.jpg exists in our static directory, so we will add the path of these 3 images in images array. Each item in an array is stored at a specific position called an index, and all array indices start from 0. For example, the first item is at index 0, the second item is at index 1, and so on. You can access any value in the array by referring to its index number. In our slider, the images array contains the paths of the images we want to display. As the slider runs, the index variable points to the current image in the array, and by changing this index, we can cycle through the images. Make sure the paths are correct and that the images are accessible in your project's static directory. After defining the images array, the next step is to create the changeImage function. This function is responsible for updating the source of our hero image, allowing it to change at regular intervals, creating the slider effect. In our index.html file, we have a hero image with the class heroImage. This class allows us to easily select and manipulate the image using JavaScript and jQuery. In the changeImage function, we target the heroImage class using jQuery and change its source attribute to the current image specified by the index value in the images array. The attr method in jQuery is used to get or set the value of an attribute for selected elements. In this case, we use it to change the source attribute of an image, allowing us to update the displayed image dynamically. We have an array named images that stores the paths of the images we want to display in our slider. We start by setting the index variable to 0, which refers to the first item in the images array. This index will be used to keep track of which image is currently being displayed. After setting the source of the current image, we increment the index variable using index++. This moves the index to the next position in the array, preparing it to fetch the next image on the next function call. The next step is to call the changeImage function to make our image slider work. However, we want to ensure that the function is called only after the entire website is fully loaded. For this, we wrap the function call inside the $document.ready function block. The $document.ready function ensures that the code inside it runs only after the HTML document is completely loaded and all elements are ready to be manipulated. This is important because if the function is called before the page is fully loaded, elements like the hero image may not be accessible, leading to errors. To create the sliding effect, we need the changeImage function to run repeatedly at a set interval. We achieve this by using the setInterval method, which repeatedly calls a function or executes code snippets with a fixed time delay between each call. In our case, we set the set interval to call the changeImage function every 2000 milliseconds, or 2 seconds. This timing means that every 2 seconds, the slider will update to the next image based on the current index value. Let's start the Django development server to view the effects of our code. You can see that the hero image is changing every 2 seconds, cycling through the images in the slider. However, after displaying the 3 images, the slider stops changing, and the images no longer update. This issue occurs because the value of the index variable exceeds the length of the images array, causing the slider to fail when trying to access a non-existent image. To fix this, we need to ensure that the index variable always stays within the bounds of the array length. We can achieve this by adding a simple conditional check inside the changeImage function. Here's how it works. After changing the image source, we check if the index value is equal to or greater than the length of the images array. If the index exceeds the array length, we reset it to 0, which points back to the first image in the array. If the index is still within the bounds of the array, it increments normally, moving to the next image. By resetting the index when it exceeds the array length, we ensure the slider runs in an endless loop, maintaining the dynamic and engaging experience of the hero section. After adding the if condition, our slider now loops through the images continuously without any interruptions. You can adjust the time interval between the slides by changing the time value in the setInterval function. Currently, in the images array, each image URL includes the complete path. We can optimize this by storing the common path in a separate variable, which simplifies the array entries. This way, we don't need to repeatedly write the full path at the start of each image URL. Here's how to simplify the paths. Define a variable, ImagePath, that stores the common path for all images. Store only the file names in the array, by removing the repetitive common path. Update the function to use the ImagePath variable when setting the source attribute. After making the changes, you might notice that after cycling through the 3 images, the slider displays only text instead of images. This issue occurs because the index variable still exceeds the length of the array due to zero-based indexing. The index of an array starts at 0, and the last element is at length -1. To ensure that index never exceeds the last valid position, we need to adjust the condition to if index images.length -1. With these changes, the slider functions smoothly without interruptions. Adding a new image to the slider is a straightforward process that requires only a minor adjustment to the images array. This design allows you to expand the slider content easily without modifying the core functionality of the code. The images array contains all the file names of the images that the slider will display. To include a new image, simply add its file name to the end of the images array. For example, I have a new image named running2.jpg. I am going to add this image at the end of the images array. Once the file name is added to the array, the slider will automatically include this new image in the rotation. The changeImage function will handle the new image without any additional adjustments. You can add as many images as you like by simply expanding the array, making the slider adaptable to changing content. You don't need to modify any JavaScript functions or logic, just updating the array is enough. After the hero image section, we have another section that contains an image on the left and text on the right. We have applied some interactive effects to this section, which are triggered when the user clicks on the container. When the container is clicked, 3 things happen. The background color of the container changes. The size of the image increases. The color of the text changes. Now, let's dive deep and explore how these effects are applied to this section. In our index.html file, after the hero section, we have another section with the class name container1. We will target this container to apply various effects to its components. Within the container1, we have 2 main classes. Image column, this class contains an image. Text column, this class contains a heading and some text. In the document.ready block, we bind the click event to the container1 class, ensuring that when the container is clicked, it will trigger several effects. On click, the background color of the container1 container changes to yellow. This visually highlights the container when the user interacts with it. After the background color change, we have targeted the image inside the image column class. And we have increased the size of the image to 100% width. You can see that we have added important at the end of the width property. This will forcefully apply the new width to the object, overriding any other CSS rules or default formatting that might conflict with it. Using important ensures that the style change is applied, regardless of other styles that may have been set earlier. After increasing the width, we have also increased the height of the class to the 120%. You can see when we click anywhere on the container, the size of the images increases. This is because we have bind this image size with a jQuery click event. After the image size, we have targeted the text inside the text column class. The text inside the text column changes its color to red, making it more visible and giving a distinct look when the user interacts with the container. After the mouse click block, we have created a mouse out block. This event resets the background color, image size, and text color to their original states when the mouse leaves the container. You can see that we have assigned empty values to the properties like background color, image width and height, and text color. These empty values remove the applied styles, restoring the elements to their default properties. So, friends, this is how we can bind multiple elements to jQuery events. In this example, we modified 3 properties of a container. We changed the background color, resized the image, and altered the text color of the container's elements, all with a single click. You can also change the text of any section using jQuery. For example, we have a heading in this container, and when we click on the container, the heading text will be changed. Let's explore the code to see how this works. In our index.html file, we have a container with the class container2. Inside container2, there is a text column class that contains both the heading and paragraph text. The heading itself has a class named heading1. In our dynamic.js file, after the document.ready function, we bind container2 to a click event, then target the heading1 class within the text column. We use the text method to change the heading's text dynamically when the container is clicked. After the click event, we created a mouse out event to revert the heading text back to its original state when the mouse leaves the container. You can see that when we click on the container, the heading text changes, and when the mouse leaves the container, the text returns to its original form. Similarly, you can change the paragraph text by targeting the appropriate class. After container2, we have a YouTube video embedded in an iframe, and we want to increase the size of the video to 100% width and height when hovered. In the index.html file, we have an iframe where the YouTube video is embedded, with its width and height initially set to 80%. In our dynamic.js file, we have bound this iframe to a mouseover event, setting the width and height to 100%. This event is triggered when we hover over the iframe, enlarging the video. Additionally, we've added a mouse out function to revert the video size back to 80% when the mouse leaves the iframe. At the end of the website, we have 3 cards, and when we hover over any card, it disappears and reappears when the mouse leaves. In our index.html file, we have a container that holds these 3 cards. This time, instead of targeting the entire container, we will target each card individually. We've assigned unique IDs to the cards, card 1, card 2, and card 3, allowing us to bind specific events to each card. For example, we can target the first card with the ID card 1 and bind a hover event to it. In our dynamic.js file, we have bound the card 1 element to a mouseover event, using the hide method to hide the card when the mouse hovers over it. Similarly, we added a mouse out function to unhide the card when the mouse leaves, using the show method. Just like card 1, we applied the same functionality to the other 2 cards, card 2 and card 3. Now, when you hover over any card, it disappears, and when you move the mouse away, the card reappears. So friends, we've learned how to use jQuery to dynamically manipulate various sections of a website. We covered how to change the background color of any section, create an image carousel, adjust the size of an image, change the font color, Dynamically update the text of any section. Increase or decrease the size of a section. Hide or unhide sections using the power of jQuery. By mastering these techniques, you can add interactive and dynamic features to your web pages effortlessly. If you enjoyed watching this video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel to receive instant notifications whenever I upload new content.